Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Riverdale. So in this episode, a lot of stuff went down. We ended up having Jughead and Betty going to the facility that her sister is being held at, and she talks to Polly. But upon meeting Polly again, she realizes oh, Polly, you're pregnant. It's like, wait, what? Her parents mentioned nothing about that, which they're super excited to see each other. But then Polly starts telling her about the story. It's like, oh, her and Jason. But then Polly goes on about how her and Jason were going to run off together, which I brought up as kind of being possibly the case, especially because we ended up finding out last episode about the ring and everything and him proposing and everything. Polly saying why Jason broke up with her is because his parents forced him to, because it's like, oh, obviously the Coopers and the Blossoms have their history that we learned last episode, so that was the main reason behind it. But, he wanted to, run off with her and the baby and have a family of their own. But then Betty has to be the one to break the news to her about Jason, which, lie number one, well, another lie. I mean, the first lie could be considered a lie of omission, but it's still a lie about not admitting the fact is that she was pregnant. Also, the fact that they lied to each other. For one, they're talking about Polly was sick. That's why Betty couldn't visit. And they told Polly that Betty didn't want to visit her, which she obviously knew it was a lie. It's like her parents are such liars. But now they also lied about Jason being, the fact is they told Betty that they told Polly that. But it's like, no, you didn't, because she was struck. She's like, no, Jason. She even confronts her mom later on when her mom comes to get Betty, because it's like, I pay for Polly to be here. You don't think I get notifications anytime someone comes to visit her? Which, honestly, can you blame Betty for thinking the way she does, that possibly you might have something to do with Jason's murder? Obviously, you have a big problem with the Blossoms and everything, but to go to this extent, locking your daughter up, saying that she's crazy, because there's Polly's saying the reason why they the day she got taken away is that she came downstairs and they dragged her away. So it does beg the question: did her family know about the fact is her plans of wanting to run away with Jason? Did Jason's parents know about it? Obviously, it seems like that's not the case, because the way Jason's family, the Blossoms, are so pissed at Cheryl, kind of begs the question that maybe that's not the case. I'm surprised we didn't see anything about her situation in this episode. Well, I guess that's going to be kind of a next week type of situation. But nevertheless, obviously, Betty, after everything she went through, she just bluntly asked her dad, did you kill Jason? Do you have anything with breaking into the sheriff's house and stealing evidence? Which we, as the audience, know that he did. But obviously, about killing Jason, her mom is up there laughing. She's like, really? You think he would do it? That he had the stomach to do it? It's the fact of the matter, she's like, I wish I had done it. And it's like I brought it up last episode. I don't get why you hate Jason so much. Once again, I can understand why your husband does. It's because you're his family and their family goes back a long ways. But at the same time, it's a situation where it's that's a family. Why is it such a continuous thing? I guess it's because it's the Blossoms profited from it, so they've been such a rich family while their families kind of had to quote unquote slum it. I guess that's why it's all that power, recognition, and prestige that should be theirs is not theirs because of the Blossoms. I mean, granted, to be fair, the Blossoms, Cheryl's great grandfather killed Betty's great grandfather, so obviously that's not the most easy situation to recover from. But it's to go to such an extent with your own children, which, to be fair, in their defense, they're the fact is that this whole situation is all made up. It's all in Polly's head, which part of me was wondering, could that be true? Even Betty started down and she's like, who's to say anyone in my family is sane? Maybe I'm not sane. Maybe my parents aren't sane. Maybe my sister's not sane. Maybe none of us are. Because I started thinking well, what if Polly's faking the whole pregnancy thing? What if she actually put a pillow underneath her? I don't know. The fact is that her parents want to demonize her so much, make it seem like she is crazy. But I mean, it seems like that's all for the purposes of fitting their own narrative. Because they're her mom is all sad and everything while they're dragging her away, with Betty there, and be oh, I'm doing this for your sake. And she's pissed. She's you're always saying that this is all for my sake, but you've lied. You've done everything to keep me and Jason separated, and now he's dead. I've lost the man I love, and also my baby's lost its father. So, which we do see at the end of the episode, Polly broke herself out. I mean, I'm sure she's extra motivated. She was probably just biding her time, because she was probably thinking eventually when given the opportunity, Jason was going to come and find her, but sadly he never had the opportunity to. Maybe that's what he was going to do. Like, I mean, it seems like, and it was kind of an interesting thing. It seems like that's the case. Like when Jason originally went missing on July 4th, that's exactly when Polly got locked up. I thought she was locked up long before now. It's like, no. Well, I mean, granted, it's been a couple months, like, because summer was like a couple months ago for them. So, well, not even a couple months, was it? It was like a few weeks ago or something like that, and like relative to the whole story and everything. So, there was an interesting development where we had Jughead kissing Betty. I didn't see that coming until he got up into her room and they were so close. I was like, are you just about to, wow, go Jughead making the move, like, holy crap. Which, I mean, like, I'm saying go both. I mean, if they're both down for it, go right ahead. I mean, the fact of the matter is, I mean, neither one of them seems like they're particularly attached to anyone. I mean, it seems like the whole possibly being attached to Archie thing is kind of behind her, maybe. She just wants to be friends with him. So, I mean, wow. I wasn't expecting that, though, until they started getting, I was like, they're not going to, okay. I guess, granted, they spent so much time together because it's a situation where, when it comes to this whole circumstance, the only person that she's been able to kind of really rely on is, well, the only person she's really opened up to about this whole circumstance is Jughead, just because everyone else is kind of concerned with their own thing. Which I'll get to Archie and Veronica soon enough in the episode, but that was just kind of an interesting thing. And then they found that car near the end of the episode, which had like Jason's jacket in the back of it. It also had like some drugs, which was apparently what Jason was going to do, like sell drugs and stuff to pay for stuff. Which, by the time the sheriff and the other cops get there, it's already on fire and everything. To me, I'm interpreting that as, obviously that's the car that Jason was like, okay, I'm going to use this, because it added more validity to what Polly was saying, because it's like, oh, here's a car that's going to be parked in this particular location. That's what Jason told me. So now it's like, no, even if not all of what Polly said was true, even in some weird way, if it was some quote unquote fantasy, at least some of it is true, so you can't deny it. But to me, I look at that as a situation. Obviously, we saw someone watching the car. I don't think it was her parents or something like that, which to argue it could be. But more than anything, I think it's whoever Jason was associated with. It might be like the Serpents or whoever, because Jason was trying to sell drugs to gather money. Well, what if, maybe this might all trail back to the fact is that he kind of backed down from it. And now I'm sitting here thinking about it. It's even more like Twin Peaks now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, because there's the whole drug subplot of Twin Peaks as well. Holy crap! There's like a whole biker gang situation in it too. I'm only just realizing that. Holy crap. I'm just sitting here thinking about it. I was like, yeah. Because Bobby in Twin Peaks was like totally connected to those situations. But nevertheless, that was just, that just hit my mind. Holy crap. But nevertheless, I can only assume it's not necessarily going to be directly related. It's not like the person who killed Jason is mine. I mean, maybe they are, but to me, I look at it as whoever was helping Jason sell the drugs, or, whether it was like a partner he had in it selling it, or the people he was selling it for or to wanted to cover their tracks. It's like, oh man, we were dumping, maybe they dump off drugs in that particular car, they put it in the back and leave it covered up, and then Jason comes and picked it. Like, they never have a face-to-face, that way they're never all busted at once or something. That's how I'm interpreting the situation. Could be completely wrong. Situation we'll kind of have to look into later on. Granted, like I said, the car's on fire, so that's going to be a little hard to deal with. The other side of this episode deals with kind of Archie and trying to sing a song on stage, but he has stage fright. There's that whole situation where basically his fright takes on the form of wolves. I guess it's supposed to represent the fact is, like, in particular, that wolf mask. I guess it's the fact is that he was scared of it when he was a kid. And, like, his stage fright kind of kicks in, takes on the form of something he's been afraid of since he was a little kid. I'm guessing that's what that's supposed to be. Also, because, the whole thing about the episode being like, oh yeah, like, fears never really going away or something like that. There's a whole situation where, like, Betty was sleeping in her, like, room and being like, oh, could you, like, what was it? Can you stay here with me? But she was like, oh, mom would never want that. So it's like, even back then your mom was very strict. But it was like, she was like, oh yeah, but I'll keep this nightlight here. And then even at her current age, we see Betty still has it plugged into a wall. I guess because, maybe on some level she's still afraid of the dark, but also I guess it holds sentimental value, especially, now that Polly's not in the house as much anymore. Well, not at all anymore, so. But nevertheless, it leads to a situation where Josie and Valerie have a falling out because Archie wants Valerie to be on stage with him to sing it, but she's like, I can't do that. I have my obligations to the Pussycats. But then her and Josie have this falling out because Josie's like, yo, the fact of the matter is, you're not supposed to sing on this part, even yelling at Mel, be like, yo, you on the snares, you're not keeping up neither. So, and then like, Val kind of responds to basically like, yo, I won't have to deal with this when I'm helping Archie out with his songs and everything. The fact is I kind of am able to voice my own opinion and like kind of be like, oh, we should do this or that. But you kind of taking over the whole creative process behind this. And she's like, well, you can either stay or you leave. And Valerie decided to leave, which, to understand the situation a little bit better, we do kind of understand why Josie was being so It turns out her dad is in town, and her dad being in town is a very big deal for like her, because it's like her dad took off this time. Apparently he's kind of a musician of his own or something like that, but he took time away from work and everything, closed down a lot of his work and stuff he was doing to be there. Well, she also had her mom adding pressure to her, being like, oh, the fact is, my cute, beautiful, amazing daughter, the fact is that you don't need Valerie. The fact is that you can find someone else to fill that role. The fact of the matter is you're so amazing, you're so talented. She's like, also, don't disappoint your dad, because if you disappoint him, he's going to blame me for this whole situation. So it's like, dude, like, obviously it's all about impressing her dad, and it's something that Valerie seems to understand, because when Archie told her about it later on, she's like, her dad's in town, that's why she's acting like this. So it's not like just a recent thing, it's like always been a thing. Because I guess it's a situation where she's always wanted to prove herself to her dad. You could probably trace it back. That might be one of the reasons why she wanted to do music in the first place, because, she just wanted her dad's attention. Like, that's what it comes down to. I mean, what's even sadder about it is, like, she was on stage killing it. Like, her and the Pussycats did an amazing job, which I gotta note, I don't give this show enough credit for its music. This show has some pretty amazing music. The Pussycats killed it. Archie killed it, like, all around. Especially with the Pussycats just already being amazing. On top of that, Veronica killing it too with them. It's kind of a situation where it's like, I don't give this show enough credit. So I need to start, like, doing that more, like, acknowledging, like, how amazing, like, the music in the show is. So, but her dad actually left, like, near the end of the performance. I'm like, why would you do that? Like, that's an asshole thing to do. Like, your daughter's up there putting her heart and her soul in this music, trying to make. That's why she was so anal about it. Like, because even, like, she's like, oh, no matter where the performance is, whether it's just kind of a small gig or like a big time gig, you always got to give it like 150%. It's because she wanted to, like, blow her dad away, but it seemed like he wasn't impressed. Even to the point that she was in a bathroom bawling out, crying. Like, at first I had my problems with her mom, because their mom's not doing much to fix the situation, but it's like her mom was there to console her. Because even her mom was looking like, why are you walking away? Like, she's doing an amazing job. It's like, dude, that's such a shame. And he didn't say anything to her. He just up and left. Didn't even stay for the entire performance. There was still a little bit of it left before he left. So it's hard to say whether he's actually proud of her or not. It's like, no matter everyone's got their own family issues here in Riverdale. Veronica's got her own situation, which I'll get to soon enough. And now we see, like, Josie. Like, I was wondering, I don't know, it's kind of interesting. Because something Jughead kind of said in this episode, he was talking about the fact is that we aren't our parents. I'm sure more so than anything, he was talking about his own particular situation, about his dad, because we got a little look into that. I'm very eager to get back to that storyline. And then when a case like that, I feel like, in Josie's case, I feel like not being your parents is a good thing. She shouldn't have to be like her dad to get his attention. It should be such a chore. And even when it came to the whole situation of Fred kind of throwing it out there for the construction job or whatever, which I'll kind of get to that in a second too. Like, even then he was kind of being a douchebag and being like, oh, I didn't know you could be such a bore. It's like, really, dude? What is your damn problem? Like, maybe he acts like that because he has his own insecurity or something. I don't know what it is. It's like, you're a douchebag. But kind of trailing back to it, obviously Valerie had her split with the Pussycats, which in itself, like, at first, Archie wanted to have Valerie help him out, which Valerie was like, I can't do it first. And then you had Veronica being like, oh, I can help you out. But then, it turns out Val could the moment she quit the Pussycats, which pissed Veronica off because Veronica saw Archie's dad, Fred, and her mom making out, which for her leaves her conflicted. Because it's interesting because both her and Archie have very different perspectives on it. Archie's fine and dandy with it because he's like, yo, my dad and my mom are separated, and it's like, it seems like he likes her and she likes him. It's like, as long as he's happy. But obviously you can also see Veronica's point of view where it's like, yeah, my dad might be locked up in jail, but the fact is that he's still my dad and he's still married to my mom. It's a situation where it's like, because for Veronica, it's all about her whole family. Like, what she was hoping is that one day when her dad got out of prison, the fact is that they could go back and kind of get their ordinary lives back. But for her, I mean, it's a sad situation. She doesn't realize that the fact is her life will never be the same when this is all said and done. I mean, Josie kind of put something out there to like, hey, try and get a different perspective on the situation. Basically, Veronica got pissed at Archie because she looked at what Archie was doing as betrayal, which even Archie later on admitted he shouldn't have done that without kind of consulting her first. But also, Veronica admitted, she was like, I'm only lashed out at you because I was dealing with my whole mom situation. Her joining the Pussycats and everything was more so kind of, it seemed like it was more so kind of like almost like a metaphorical middle finger to both Valerie and Archie, at the same time while giving a metaphorical middle finger to her mom and Fred as well. So what I'm very curious about, because obviously there's the whole construction bill thing, the whole construction job thing, which she wanted to give to Fred. Obviously, she looked into Fred's books and found out the fact of the matter is he's got maybe 2 or 3 weeks worth of money to be able to pay all his employees. And his company's going to go under. So it's like, oh, the construction job could kind of revigorate his money, kind of put him, in his words, in the black, kind of put him good so that he could continue paying his people, because like he brought out the fact is that the last time he fired someone it didn't go so well, which I can only assume that's talking about Jughead's dad. But in this particular situation, like Hermione is like, it's hard to say whether she's doing this on, like there's 3 possibilities. One, she's legitimately doing this out of the kindness of her heart, where she's just trying to give Fred a helping hand. Obviously she went about it the wrong way because now she ended up forging Veronica's name on the papers, like the documents, because it needed Veronica's signature, which Veronica finds out and just like, oh, great, Mom. Thanks. I'm glad you got all you wanted. You won. So, because once again, Veronica never really heard her mom's side of the story. Like, because she's basically like, I'll sign if you stop dating Archie's dad, which she's like, I can't guarantee that. So there's that side of things. But also another possibility I've kind of thought of is, maybe it is because she has feelings for him, that legitimately it isn't the most pure-hearted of reasons. It's like, oh, I'm infatuated with you, so I'm going to help you out, especially because I'm kind of the one behind this whole deal. Or the third option is, because obviously she brings up the fact that her husband was going to have some shady people behind the deal or whatever, not a very good team behind it. So it's like, oh, why not get Fred to do it? Him and his people could do good work, so why not get someone reliable to do it? Maybe, which in itself could be split off into another reason being, well, kind of coinciding reason, could be that basically get someone like Fred to do it to legitimize what they're doing. Because I feel like, I mean, it's something we'll have to look into, but it doesn't seem like necessarily the lodges are very 100% above the board. Obviously, they've got their whole connection to like the Serpents and everything, a biker gang. So it's not like they're on the up and up. Plus, they're kind of going behind people's backs with the whole mayor situation of getting that land and everything and doing the construction on it. So like maybe they're trying to legitimize it by getting a legitimate company like Fred's to do it. So maybe it's a combination of the 3 where she is trying to do a good thing for someone that she, also has feelings for, but is also trying to legitimize it for her husband. So hopefully, I hope at the very least, I hope it is more so 1, but I wouldn't mind it if it's 1 and 2, but I don't want it to just be 1, like, I don't want it to just be 2, and I definitely don't want it to be 3, because that's kind of a situation where it's just, it is a bad situation where someone could end up being just used and tossed away. Because what it really comes down to is, what does Hermione want when this is all said and done? Does she want to get back with her husband? I mean, like I said, I don't blame Veronica. She's a teenager, and this is a very complicated situation. It's a complicated situation for even adults to handle. Like, I mean, just because he's in jail, it doesn't change their circumstances. It's like, as Veronica was kind of saying to Archie, is like, oh, you're being very disloyal. And you can look at what she's doing as very disloyal, even going as far as like forging her daughter's signature on this whole situation. So, like I said, I do want to know the question of what is her motives behind it. Like, and I want Veronica to ask her that, but Veronica's so pissed that she might not do that now. So it's definitely going to be very interesting going forward with all these new developments. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye. Bye.